Hi there, and welcome to Naturally Recovering Autism. I am your host, Karen Thomas, and I want to thank you so much for being here and being a proactive parent and getting the resources that you need to let your child live their most fulfilling and independent life possible. When my own son was diagnosed with autism, I was told to drug him and try behavioral therapies, and there was nothing else that we could do for him but manage his symptoms the rest of his life. But I didn't want to do that. Fortunately, my background in craniosacral therapy of now 30 years let me know that the brain can and does heal, but I didn't know that much about autism. What I did know is that I didn't want to just mask the symptoms with dangerous drugs. I wanted to find the causes and work with them naturally. And fast forward, it took me a decade and a lot of time and effort, but today my son is no longer diagnosable with autism after being told it could not happen. So I'm here to share with you valuable resources to save you the time and some of the expense that I had to spend to figure it out, and to help you let your child lead to their best results possible. Every child's level of recovery is different, but we know that children who couldn't sleep through the night are sleeping now through the night and happily. Their immune systems are now strong where they were once sick all the time. Children who were nonverbal and their parents were told they could never speak are now speaking. Children who were getting D's and F's in school are getting A's and B's, and those that were so anxious all the time and couldn't sit still and were uncomfortable in their own bodies are now calm and happy and relaxed, and they're leading fulfilling and independent lives with friends. This is what we want for our kids. So I'm here to share the resources with you so that you can get the best results for your child, the best possible. And you can start that right now with my free download of the top 7 foods to eliminate beginning today, of the top foods that are the most inflammatory and toxic that are contributing to those physical and behavioral symptoms of autism that your child is having. They're making his life uncomfortable. So you can get that right now at naturallyrecoveringautism.com/7 foods. And feel free to share that with anybody you know who would be interested. And I will also link to it in today's show notes. There's, of course, a lot more than diet, but this is something you could start doing today that will begin to reduce those symptoms. And I'm happy to share everything I can with you. So right now, let's dive into today's episode. In this series, we've been talking about limiting beliefs and how important it is to make sure that your mind is in the right place and you believe that you can have what you desire. And I know that this can be really challenging because we get really familiar with certain ways that we feel and our surroundings. It can be within relationships, it can be within money, and it can definitely be around our child with autism and the worry and the fear. And those fears can take over and they can become what is the most prominent in your mindset, and what we think about, we attract more of. And I went into detail about that further in last week's episode. And so I will link to it in today's show notes, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth today with something called the reticular activating system. Now, the reticular activating system is actually a part of the brain, and it's a bundle of nerves at our brain stem, and it filters out the unnecessary information so that all of the important stuff can get through. It's the RAS, it's the reticular activating system, so it's also referred to as the RAS. And the RAS is the reason that we learn a new word when we start hearing it everywhere, or why when we want a new car, we start seeing the type of car we want everywhere on the road. Have you ever noticed how that has happened? And it's because your RAS, your reticular activating system, has now got that embedded in those neurons, in those nerve fibers, and we become more capable of seeing the things in front of us that we once missed, is one way to put it. It takes what you focus on and creates a filter for just that. So this is why mindset and belief systems and creating something in the RAS is so important, as we talked about last week with those limiting beliefs that most of us carry around. The reticular activating system is located just above where the spinal cord is attached to the brain, and it acts as a gatekeeper of information between most sensory systems and the conscious mind. Now, again, I'll reflect back on the last episode. We talked about how much the subconscious mind controls us. It is developed by our life experiences by the age of 7. By the time we are 7 years old, our subconscious mind, our RAS, has been programmed to filter out that we are to live in a certain way. If you ever notice that your money is a very good example, your level of prosperity, the level of money that you have in your life is usually similar to what your parents had, and theirs is similar to what their parents had. Until something breaks this cycle and you are capable of that, that's what I'm here to tell you, you can shift anything you want. And this again is for our purpose, really, is to have everything in our lives that we want without any limiting beliefs holding us back. And I really want you to understand that you do have control, some control over what your child's outcome will be. Now, I'm not saying there is any shame. There's not saying any blame here. There is no, it's your fault. It's nobody's fault. Your child has autism. That is not what this is about. Let me be very clear. This is about you being able to now focus on, instead of worry and fear, focusing on the positive things that you want, how you want to see your child live, the going to the best schools, happy, making friends, living independently, having a great job that they love with lots of friends. You want to become specific with these, because this network of neurons called the RAS, again, is influencing our state of physiological alertness, our awareness of our surrounding. And if it is locked into negative belief system or fears, we will draw more of that, because the RAS wants to make us happy. It wants to fulfill our beliefs, and it's all it knows. The RAS is also very, very affected by color. So I've mentioned before, if you have taken a vision board, created a vision board, or if you've written something down on a piece of paper about what you want, it's good to take some colored markers and put some colors around those, or write them in colored pens, because the RAS functions in color. And so it's that much stronger if you actually are pulling out something in color to help solidify locking that in. But once your limiting beliefs become your expectation, your RAS will spend the rest of your life literally working to meet that expectation. And you'll only find more of what you expect to find. So your results will never exceed your expectations. If you have low expectations, then that is what you will receive. If you make higher expectations, then you can have whatever you desire. Now, this requires consistency daily with writing it down, saying it out loud, saying it with feeling, locking emotions in as if it's already happened. And I will again link to last week's episode where we discussed this a little bit more in these steps. And you have got to be consistent. Because have you ever gotten really excited about something new that you were going to do, and you were like, yeah, I'm going to take this on. I feel so good about this. And then the next thing you know, that excitement starts to just wane and go away. And then you feel like you're just kind of back where you started from. Well, this can be the same thing with a new program you might be starting for your child with autism, or new therapy, or anything else. And if you don't see a change immediately, you might not believe that it's true. This is why you have to be consistent, and you have to be persistent about continuing this daily, so that the RAS, which takes about 21 to 28 days to really lock something new in, you want to be consistent and then keep doing it. Because if you stop doing the daily rituals of saying what you want out loud, feeling it with emotion, picturing it in your mind clearly as if it's already happened, the old ways can start to creep back. So this is something to go continually on, daily, and for week after week, month after month, year after year, and never giving up on that. You see, the people with the most faith in something usually have the strongest outcomes, because you've got to not only know what you want, which is very common too. People don't know what they want. They just jump all over the place. Oh, I'll try this, or this will be good to do. But they don't really have a focus. You need a focal point, something to follow, and then you want to know what you want. Focus on even picking out first your number one expectation, your number one goal. Maybe it's to see your child say mom for the first time. Maybe it's for them to start being able to focus in a classroom, but getting better grades. Maybe it's for them to be sleeping through the night. Maybe it's for them to be making new friends and being happy. Maybe it's for them to be living an independent life. They can get dressed on their own, brush their teeth on their own, be able to take care of themselves. You see them in your mind's eye as living alone, not alone, but with friends in an apartment someday on their own, independently, because they can, and they're happy and they're holding down a good job and able to do well for themselves. These are the kinds of things. You also want to focus on what you want for yourself. This is self-care. We have to take care of ourselves. We're very much in a place of caregiving, and it's important to understand that you can get what you want. And again, I bring this back to financial pieces and money a lot, because money is such a limitation for people. If you focus on poverty or believing that you don't have enough money, or you keep saying, I never have enough money, or I just don't have enough money, or I wish I had more money, all you're doing is putting it out there that you don't have enough money. And the RAS will bring that expectation continually to you. If you have an amount of money, or if you say, I am so happy and I'm so grateful that I'm able to take care of all of my child's needs, pay for their highest, best education possible, letting them have all of the best programs, the best supplements and health care possible. And this is easy and effortless for us. Financially, I have everything I want. I have a new car. I live in a beautiful home. All of the things that you want, you need to keep reaffirming that. Anything so that your fears do not take over and your RAS does not see that as part of your actual realization, because it wants to make everything that you believe a reality. Now, in the beginning, you won't believe these expectations. Some of these limiting beliefs are things that will feel like, oh, really, it might be very disbelieving in the beginning, but you've got to be persistent until you really feel like, "Oh, I'm kind of starting to believe this a little bit." It'll kind of shift over time, which is very interesting to watch. And you will literally start to be able to look around your life and see physical changes in your life. Right now, what is in your life is a reflection of what your beliefs are. So if you don't believe that you're going to get the right help, or that people won't help you, or that it's your fault, or that you're not going to be able to afford what you need for your child, or they're not going to get better, or you worry about anything, then that is again what that RES is locking into. So you've got to give it something new. Why it's crucial to inundate your belief system with a new and positive belief system that will grow to be the dominant beliefs, and then let the old ones grow weak and less dominant and eventually weed away. And that's what we want. These new beliefs need to become the dominant one. So think about what you say and how you say it. Listen to your language. We've always heard the term, is your cup half empty or half full? It's how people look at something. And what is maybe something, everything happens for a reason. Maybe something really great, really fabulous can come from this. I never knew when my own son was diagnosed with autism that it would mean that by my decade of research and my financial pressure to create the right system, the program to figure out what was going to help him get better, but keeping that belief in my mind that I was going to find the answers, my son was going to get better, was locked in there, because I just was not going to give up on him. And all of this then flourished to come out to something where I am able to create a book that helps parents worldwide, create my membership program that is helping hundreds of parents worldwide in over 40 countries to be able to have the resources they need from any small village in Africa, anywhere. And they're getting these things, and their children are getting better where they were told their child could never recover, just like I was. All of these things that we see happen in our life, they happen for a reason. And we have to understand, if we also believe that there's something positive that will come from this, and that something good will happen. We are growing, we are learning human beings, and we are again growing into something new every day. It's an evolution for us constantly, and educating ourselves is so important. So again, think about what you say and what you do around your child, because they are listening and they are absorbing those actions as part of their own belief system. Now, remember, I mentioned a few minutes ago here about what you see again, what you have financially is very similar to what you'll see about 3 generations back in your family. The amount of money that you might be lower on the financial scale, right in the middle of the financial scale, or the upper financial scale. But what you have is very, very often, unless you believed something different for yourself and you locked that in, very similar to what your parents had or your spouse's parents had, and then their parents and your parents' parents, your grandparents, all the way back. It comes down in generations, and we keep following those patterns. I remember one time I practiced, as you know, craniosacral therapy for years. And I had a mom here in my studio, and I had just finished working on her little boy, who was at the time about 7 or 8. He was pretty young. And he's sitting on the couch, and as his mom went to pull out her checkbook to pay me for the craniosacral session, and he right away went, "How much is that going to cost?" And you could hear the fear in his voice. And I quietly got the mom aside later and I said, "Be careful about the conversations that you have about money and the expense and the stress, the financial stress of all the therapies and all of the things that you're doing for your child." Because with this, or with relationships and how you and your spouse get along, how you talk to your child, positive things you say to them, or unmeaning negative tones or things that you say to them, it's very important that your actions and your words are very positive, and you're around your child about what you're doing. That, that there isn't anything that they're listening to that creates a worry, or creates part of that, as I mentioned, the subconscious being developed prior to the age of 7 years old. What our kids see us do and hear us do is what they take in as their life's truth, and what becomes familiar. And that's something else too. As you start saying, I'm going to make $1 million a year. Well, if you're making $30,000 a year, your RAS right now is going, what? But if you keep saying it over and over and over, and if you start saying things, and they might seem so far off to you at the moment, but you keep saying it, you keep saying it, and you get rid of those limiting beliefs, and you start bringing it into your reticular activating system as something that is true, then your RAS will start doing everything in its power at that subconscious level to make it happen. Things, opportunities will pop up in your life that you never even knew about before, just randomly or seemingly random, but they're not. It's very, very real. And this is very true. Lots and lots of books are written on this. We've probably heard of Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and all of these things that talk about how we create our lives with our beliefs, and how we have limiting beliefs that limit that, but we also have the power to create what is in our mind. And we are also really an example for our child. So make sure that you are telling your child how great they are, how kind they are, how people really like them, how, all of the good things. And again, being very careful about the financial aspects that you discuss around them, so that they don't create fear around money, because then they will push money away from their own lives, because it will become something that they don't feel good about. So that's important too. You want to feel good about it, so it becomes a familiar piece to you and comfortable, so that as you start working with your RAS, it is much easier for to go in and become part of your belief system. Siblings and parents often have the same old beliefs. You might even notice that if you have a brother or a sister, their beliefs are really similar. Or, if they're really positive and your family's really positive, maybe you're really positive, and that's great. You have, an even stronger ability to really bring in positive stuff because you're used to it. But if you're not used to it, if you have siblings and family that, again, that cup is half empty, and oh, these people are just out to get me, or oh, I'm never going to get ahead financially, or nobody ever helps me, or my child's never going to get better. then you're drawing more of that in. And watch your siblings, because without saying anything, you can just pay attention. What we draw in is a reflection of what is in our lives. What's going on for us is what we believe, what the relationships that we believe we can have, including with our spouse, or the relationships we have with, again, money is a big one. And I keep bringing up money because so many people have a locked in belief system about where they're comfortable at, whether or not they want to think that they're comfortable at that level. They have a level of financial income that your RAS, your subconscious, has seen as the comfort zone. And even when you start to rise out of that, above that, and gain more income, your RAS, unless you are consciously programming it to make sure you are in control of your thoughts and you keep those thoughts what you want in a focus point, and you keep putting in your belief system and creating what you want instead of letting your old beliefs and your RAS's old belief system keep you where you are. Because have you ever noticed that somebody who's been maybe on a poverty level for a really long time, and then they do really well, and something happens and they get a lot of money? This is a great example for people who win the lottery, and they have all this money, and within years they're bankrupt. Their RAS has not seen them in a comfort zone with money, so all of a sudden they have lost everything, or they'll have oh, the car breaks down the day that you think that you can afford this new house that you're going to put a down payment on, and then you start having fear, and other things that happen, and then your child's got a new dental problem, and that's going to cost more money, and all of a sudden these things. So this is the same way. These things that you're drawing in that keep you at a certain level are the same that you can switch around if you take control of this. But the key is to focus on what you want, know what you want, even starting out again with something generalized, and the specifics will come as time goes by. But thinking about one thing that you want and then really starting to hone in on it. You write it down, you say it out loud daily a few times, write it down in colored pencils, even crayons, anything with color around it is helping the RAS pull it in. Along with writing these things down in color, again, it's also important that you think about it as if it's already happened, how it feels right now in that life, having that result that you've been wanting or you want, as if it's already happened and you're living it in your life today. And then you start pulling in those feelings. Again, you've got the five senses you pull in, you've got the feelings, the gratitude. Close your eyes and think about how good you feel. The emotions really, really lock it into the RAS. The reticular activating system, again, wants color and emotions and feelings, and again, acting as if it's already happened and you're in that life today, right now, having exactly what you wish for. And then you have to be very, very consistent, focusing on it. So what one or two things you can do every day to create your new desired lives? Again, memories are created by those emotions that bind it to the connection to something. So feel it and embed it into your subconscious mind. Your RAS will now begin to see that as your truth. So write it, read it out loud several times a day, and very important to write before you go to bed at night is really, really an important time, because what we do right before we go to bed is what our subconscious works on all night while we sleep. And then when we wake up first thing in the morning, we're still in what's called sort of a subconscious, a sub state. So we're just like meditation takes you into a sub state. So it's very important to read it out loud or say it out loud. If you've memorized it, read it out loud, say it out loud again, first thing when you wake up again. And then throughout the day, as many times as you can think about it, feel it as if it's already happened. And again, pull in those emotions. And over time, you will see life changing. It's not just willpower, but a focus with emotion and feeling to seed it into the RAS and the memory. And that filters out the relevant and then the non-relevant for you. So what aspects actually hold meaning for you at any given moment? Your mind can't process everything at once, so the RAS needs to filter for you. The relevance is what's important to the impact that it's going to have on you. Again, back to you've been wanting to drive a specific type of car, or wanting to buy one, and all of a sudden you start seeing it everywhere. That's the same thing. Your RAS has locked that in. It creates the impact for you, like a price or a value. Which do you notice? When you see something, do you look at the price or do you look at the value? In either way, your RAS drives and reinforces it for you. It's a double-edged sword. The life we have, we reinforce about ourselves, our money, what we expect to happen. They prove us right with no filter. So start believing that you can have what you want. And again, by taking these things daily and focusing on what you want, sing it out loud multiple times a day with color, see it in color, write it in color, and feel those emotions and make it real as if it's already happened. And then watch your world change around you. I hope this is helpful. Focus on this again, please, because this is about consistency. If you just do this temporarily and stop, then your results won't be what you want. It's something to really focus on and make as part of your truth, your personal truth and what you believe. And there's no harm and no time it takes to just say a few things positive out loud daily. Close your eyes and feel some good emotions, right? It's only going to feel good to do it anyway. So start doing it, start believing it, and then you'll see the reflection in your life around you. And hopefully you will see what you want sooner than later. But again, if you're not seeing it right away, you must be consistent and remain consistent, especially around people who are naysayers, because there are negative people around us. And that's where we have to get to where our mind and our beliefs in our head, nobody can change what's in our mind but us. We can believe what we want to believe regardless of negative people around us. So just keep your positive beliefs going, and let your life that you want come to you.